Oh, okay.
This is really...
A little close, yeah.
It's a little awkward. Let me zoom out just a touch. Here we go. Let's start again. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because I normally talk about geeky things, but sometimes I drink wine and tell you guys about the stories why I drink. But instead of doing that, I'm gonna have my mom tell you guys stories about the reasons why she drinks. Because today, when this video goes up, is my birthday. But yeah, so I thought it'd be fun for me to ask my mom some questions about my life before I can remember things. Even though I do have really weird early on memories.
By last Thursday then?
Yeah, so if you could just catch them up from Thursday.
That'll work.
Considering I barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning.
Oh. Yeah, you left evidence of that, so I can tell you.
Okay, well, except for the fact that it's because we don't have spray oil.
Well, we have oil.
I used it!
Not well. That's why we drink. She doesn't do dishes, so I drink.
I do dishes. I just don't do your dishes. I do my dishes. That dish is still in the And I had every intention of actually scrubbing it clean. I just haven't done that yet.
Okay.
Hey, I have it, like, soaking.
Yeah, because I know you've been busy today.
Moving shit.
No, that's true.
I had to clean out my entire freaking kitchen.
That's true. It's being retiled. Or tiled.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, Dad tiled it.
Well, not really.
He just did it very, very poorly. Which there is a vlog of me doing some really good up close, like how poorly my dad tiles going up.
Or does
soon.
any kind of
Okay, so here's the thing. He thinks he's Al Borland. He's actually Tim Taylor. We'll just put it that way. Anyway, all right. So let's go ahead. So
we digress.
Yes. So
it is definitely reasons why we drink.
Yeah, my father is definitely reasons why we drink. Love you, Dad. Anyway, so I was born September 12th. I was induced, and you went into the hospital at, like, what? You said 9 o'clock in the morning.
No, actually, it was like 6. Yeah, I think it was 6.
Okay. And
I decided about 6:30 that I didn't want to do this anymore. I changed my mind.
That's kind of how I felt when we were going up in the air in the airplane, and about halfway up there. And I was like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I'm kind of past the point of no return at this point, but, like, why am I doing this?
Pretty much what I was feeling that particular day, too.
But you already had no idea.
Child. Well, I know, and that's why.
Well, and with
I hadn't
Melissa,
even thought about that until that moment.
Well, and with Melissa, you had back labor, so you were, like, in extra pain.
It was, like, ridiculous. It was horrifying. It was horrifying. I remember about partway through the back labor with Melissa, she turned.
And then you felt like...
And then it was like, oh, this ain't nothing. This is nothing. And I was like in full-blown labor at that point.
Yeah, it should have been like the most painful part of labor.
Right, and it totally was
like, oh, this is great.
Dance, you know. I didn't.
No. I'm sure your body was still like, eh.
Yeah. But with inducing, that was a really different experience. That was like really...
I just didn't want to come out. That was the problem.
Oh my God, I know.
Because theoretically,
I don't ever do anything I want you to do. Like maybe the dishes.
Theoretically, I was a month late.
Yeah, they didn't think so until after you were.
I was came out walking. Big. I came out driving a car. Like I already had a license. Right. I came out with a high school diploma. Why was so hard to get? Why was so hard for me to get the college diploma? I don't know. But no, I mean, yeah, because my original due date was August 15th.
Right, and then they switched it to, I don't
the
remember,
28th.
The 28th, right.
That's my pivotal day. You know how important that day is to me.
I know, and then you didn't even decide to, well,
come out
didn't decide. We decided.
Right.
The September 12th would be the day in infamy.
Now, you couldn't drink while you were pregnant with me, and I thank you for that.
Yeah, well, okay. That's how that worked, yes.
Because I was a planned pregnancy, right?
Yeah, you were.
Melissa was the surprise.
Melissa was the surprise, yes.
Where I was the planned pregnancy. So, like, did you follow the rules when you were planning on getting pregnant? Like, you stopped drinking when you guys started?
Well, actually, I wasn't really even drinking at that point in my life. I mean, I didn't even really like wine.
See, I am the reason why she drinks.
That is true. That is true. I didn't like alcohol. I didn't really like any of that. And wine was an acquired taste.
It was.
It really was.
Well, what's funny is she is literally the reason why I drink. Because you wanted a wine drinking buddy when I was still in high school.
I couldn't wait till you could get like of age, so yeah.
Yeah, and so, well, I mean,
I always
it wasn't...
went with this adage that, okay, if you can drink at home, you will go drinking with others.
Well, and that worked.
Well, it did, but...
But I was also a goody two-shoes in high school, too. So, like, I don't know if it would have been any different if you guys still had alcohol as a forbidden thing.
Well, we're going to say that what I did was correct, okay?
We can go with that. Sure.
We'll go with that.
Sure.
Yes, I'm a good mother. Fantastic.
Sure. We'll go with that.
I buy this.
A better mother than some. Than a lot.
I have bought this. I always make sure we're never out. So, well, okay, like tonight we'll be out.
To be fair, you bought this on Friday.
Yeah, but we were away last night. We were drinking wine.
You drank home. You drank home when you came wine.
Okay.
You drank wine.
I drank wine when we came home.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Because I came upstairs for something. What did I come upstairs for? I don't remember. I came upstairs at one point. Oh, for my midnight snack. My midnight snack. By that I mean like 9 o'clock. It's my vice, okay? And I saw the box of wine sitting. I was like, oh, she didn't bring me any. I am offended.
I can't do stairs anymore.
That's not my problem.
I'm old.
That's not my problem.
Well, okay. You'll get wine.
We have echoes where you could have said, hey, want wine? Did you? No. My original due date was August 15th. My second due date was August 28th. I was finally born on September 12th.
Yeah. They finally scheduled it for the inducement, and then you were born around noon.
12/26.
Yep, 12/26.
Because that's what it says on my birth certificate.
Yeah. Okay.
I still have my birth certificate. She lost hers.
Yeah.
Because your birth certificate says something really cool.
Yeah.
Because you were born December 22nd at 12/22. So your birth certificate.
12/22, 12/22.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that. And unfortunately, when I did find my birth certificate, that particular piece was ripped off.
Which really sucks.
Yeah, that was so sad because it's the only record.
We should be able, because you were born here.
Yeah.
In this very house.
You don't know.
This house was actually pretty young when you were born.
But it was here.
It was here. This house is older than you.
That is true. This couch is older than me.
Probably.
Well,
This couch is probably older than me.
yeah, probably not. I think we bought it.
No, we bought it.
Candles.
It was not. Was it at Kinsey Candles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
Because I remember it was in our family room in Breezy Point.
Well, that's right, because it came with that goofy tree that I have out in the yard now. The fake tree.
The fake ficus?
Yeah, the fake ficus. Because it has this burgundy kind of under.
Like it's got the green on top leaves and then the underneath.
Burgundy underneath.
So, like, what are some weird, do you have any, like, weird times? Because obviously we thought I had spina bifida.
Oh, God, yeah.
But, like, other stories from when you were pregnant.
Well, from pregnancy.
Because I'm not entirely convinced that she gave birth to me.
Oh my God. Well, it was during summer and oh my word. I blew up like a house. And I
have no pictures. There is no evidence.
Which that's, yeah.
I look so much like my dad. I look nothing like you. So, like, are you really my mom?
Well, that is debatable. I could be debatable. I gave birth to something. Because I retained. I was a house. I was a freaking house. I think I gained 200 pounds. Well, maybe not.
So,
no, I didn't.
So you only gained about 5 pounds more than what I weighed when I was born. It's a big baby.
No, that's yeah. Well, but true. That is true. I mean, you were like 21 and a half inches long. You were 9 pounds, and that wasn't such a big deal. I mean, that was a big deal.
I was nearly 2 feet long.
I know, it was crazy. And
Kids of Eden could fit into the palms of Melissa and Mark's hands.
When I left the hospital, which was the next day, I had lost 40 pounds. 40 pounds.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how crazy that was.
That's
Not just
crazy.
Obviously you, but it was the water and and all the other stuff. I mean, it was
my placenta.
insane. It was insane. Inducing is, like I said, just it was hard because it was very, very methodical, and it put me into labor, and it was very intense immediately, and so I was in intense labor for a good 6-7 hours.
Well, because things move quicker when you're induced.
Well, that is the theory, and in this case, it did too. I mean, 6 hours of labor is nothing. But it was intense right from the start.
Yeah.
Right from the start.
I've always had this theory, because I know you had postpartum depression with me.
Oh, God.
Like, she was like one tick away in her brain from murdering me.
Well, no, not really. I don't think that would have ever happened. But I do remember.
But you felt guilty about bringing me into the world.
I did. It was so strange. I even made, phone calls to the nurses at the hospital because they said, and back then, postpartum depression. I mean, that was a thing. It was postpartum depression was a thing. Baby blues. They called it baby blues.
It wasn't as widely accepted as a mental illness
problem. And I, obviously it was because of the hormones and the ridiculous, things. But I do remember being very unhappy over the fact that I had pushed you into this horrible world, this terrible world. What was
it wasn't even that bad in the 80s. There's a lot of crack cocaine.
Just
a lot of ecstasy.
Well, not on our street. Where were we? Well, we were in Coon Rapids, so no, not on our street. But no, it was
other parts of Coon Rapids.
Here, yes, but
Bloomington, East Bloomington.
Yeah. Then no, I mean there really was no real reason to think what I thought, except for the fact that my hormones were going nuts. And I do.
Well, that's exactly what postpartum depression is.
I called the nurses and they talked me off the ledge maybe 3-4 different times. I mean, not that I was on the ledge. I just was making it very clear to them that I felt horrible as what kind of mother am I for making you live in this world. I just didn't even, and I know that
I wanted to be in your uterus, and that was where I was going to stay.
I know, that was it. I felt very guilty about making you come out because you just didn't want to.
I was nice and warm, okay?
And I felt really horrible about that. And back then, again, that was not considered, today I think if somebody were to call and say those things, I think they would probably send them paddy wagon. I mean, seriously. I think they would, because
that was such a young mother thing to say.
And back then you don't say, I should never have put her in this world. I should never have done that.
Well, because there have now been mothers who have killed their children from postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Women
because they feel guilty about making them be in this world.
Of course, they have the capability of murder to begin with. Because I think the one thing that you never had was the capability of murder. So there's obviously another tick in the brain with mental illness where that's concerned.
Yeah, because I did. I loved you so very much when you were first born. I mean, when Melissa
Past tense.
I know, loved. Yeah. That's true. When Melissa... I know I love you very much now, too. But in a different way. When Melissa was born, I absolutely did not want to have more kids. And it, oh God, this was too hard. It was too much work. It was too much responsibility.
Ooh.
And we got a hole in your...
I have to throw away my first set of Mickey socks.
Yes.
Can we help you? Say, just a whisper?
Okay.
Go lay down.
When Melissa was firstborn, I, honest to God, did not want to have any more kids. I didn't. Oh, this is just way too much responsibility. And then your dad decided that he did, and he didn't want Melissa to grow up by herself. I mean, it took 4 solid years before I was okay.
4.5. Well, yeah, because 4.5.
9 months.
She's 4.5 years older than me. But
then after
according to Dad, his intention was always just to have 2 kids. That's what he told me.
Right.
His intention was to
told me. But after I had you.
Well, after you had me, our lives kind of went.
12 more.
But our lives also went crazy after you had me. Because 2 years after I was born, Teresa, your sister, got sick.
Yeah.
Grandpa was in, my dad's dad was in and out of the hospital with, how many heart attacks did that man have? Like 100?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he actually died from his 11th. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he died from his 11th
being
heart
serious.
attack.
I don't know.
He had a lot of heart attacks. So like our lives, and then right when I turned 4, a few days later, Grandpa died, and then Teresa died the next year. So like our lives went crazy.
Right to hell. Yeah,
right.
to hell.
So like it's funny because I've always wondered in my head like if you guys just kind of forgot to have another kid. Like if you guys
it's
intended.
very possible. It was very possible because I do, like I said, after I had you, I honestly I wanted to become a nurse that worked in maternity. I wanted more kids. I wanted.
Is that why you opened a daycare?
Well, I did. I opened the daycare when we were in Madison. And those kids were so great. I mean, okay, not the twins from hell, but
I will never forget that
our
morning.
next door neighbor. That one was bad too.
I remember the twins from hell when the first time, or at least the one memory I have, because obviously I was 4 when we moved out of Madison. But I remember waking up to just screaming, and I came down the stairs, and there you are with these
children.
2 infants just wailing, and I was like,
They cried all the time.
how dare they wake me up?
I know they cried all the
I
time.
was a teenager when I was 4.
And I finally told the mom I couldn't take care of them. They didn't like me. They didn't like me for some strange reason.
And
I mean, they were fine until they saw me, and then they started to scream. And I felt really horrible. I was wonderful to those kids. I mean, I'm wonderful to all kids.
Right.
To this day. And I don't know why they didn't like me. They did not like me.
Yeah.
And then with our next door neighbor's kid.
Wasn't that the one that had a flat head?
Well, he had a flat head because his mom and dad decided that, they would have kids.
But they didn't want
They didn't want it to change their lives any, so they continued to do what they did, and I
Hopefully
convinced
we don't come
them
across
that
this
they
video.
needed a nanny because they were that kind of people where they were too important to have anything. So I said, a nanny, a little nanny, that's what you should do.
So when I was young, I was very sick, like just in general, right?
Yeah.
Because I was born lactose intolerant, number 1,
Yeah,
which we didn't
know that.
find out
Yeah.
because, I make the joke because we lived in the state capital of Wisconsin. And doctors could not find out what was wrong with me.
I know.
We moved to the smallest itty bitty baby town in freaking
They aren't
Minnesota.
going to say that out loud in Wisconsin.
Well, that's just
They
it.
can't.
I make the joke that it's illegal to be lactose intolerant in the state of Wisconsin.
It has to be anything but.
Because like it just is so weird how no doctor in Madison, no doctor in Coon Rapids could figure out what was wrong with me. We go to this small itty bitty baby town in Minnesota, Pequot Lakes, which is where I graduated high school from, and the first doctor we see is like, "Have you tried taking milk out of her diet?"
Well, and then that was another
Which depressed
thing.
me immensely.
At about a year and a half, you were about a year and a half years old, and you got the flu. I mean, the flu.
Right.
And
Which must have been very reminiscent, not for you because obviously you don't remember Sandy being sick because you weren't born, but
my sister,
your older sister that died before you were born, the year before you were born.
Yep.
But obviously you experienced your mom going through.
horrible. Both.
You've known your whole life that you had a sister you never knew.
Right. My brother, who's the oldest, my sister, who's the oldest sister now,
Right.
at the time wasn't, because Sandy was older than Debbie. But all 3 of them got very sick, and
Yep.
Sandy unfortunately passed away.
From the Asiatic flu.
Asiatic flu is what they called it at the time, I guess. And this particular flu that you got, we didn't know that you actually had the flu. Nobody told us that because all they would tell me, you're about a year and a half years old. I took you in that first time because you were just throwing up and being sick, and I took you in that first time, and they said, well, you just have the stomach flu. You'll be over it in just a few hours.
Right,
Just
24
take her
hours
home,
at most.
Take her home, and just make sure she has lots of liquids. Well, I did that, and you drank them. You
And then
were
threw up
thirsty,
more.
and then you ended up throwing up anyway.
Probably didn't help
then
that I
I
was
took-
already lactose intolerant as well.
Right. Right, because we didn't know that at that point.
Right.
But so then I brought you in a second time after another day of you could not keep anything at all down. And then the second time I brought you in, the doctor then, it was another different doctor. Your normal doctor, Dr. Nielsen, wasn't there. He was on vacation or something. That doctor said, here, take her home, just feed her like a tablespoon of Pedialyte. Go get Pedialyte, feed her a tablespoon of Pedialyte every like half hour or whatever. I can't remember exactly what the timing was on it. So I thought, okay, that, sounds right, because I didn't know what Pedialyte was at the time either. I mean, at that time, I think that was kind of a new thing. And it had electrolytes and stuff, and it would put some, good nutrients back into, or not nutrients, but good balancing stuff back into your body. And kind of like wine. Yeah. And so I did that, and I would feed you a tablespoon of Pedialyte, and you'd like throw up a half a cup. And I don't even know where it was coming from.
My stomach.
You slept that night. You slept by my bed in your little chair because
I had to sit up.
You had to sit up because I was so afraid, and I was so bone tired. I mean, we are talking probably 4 solid days now at this point. 4 days of no sleep ever. I mean, we didn't sleep. I would fall asleep maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then you would be throwing up.
Right.
I mean, it was just horrible. And of course, obviously, you didn't sleep. I mean, you were so lethargic. You were just like lethargic. You
Right.
just wouldn't even move. Got up the next day, and I had every intention of, I didn't even know. I mean, I was so upset, so angry, so tired. Went back to the doctor. I insisted on, Dr. Nielsen was back, insisted on seeing him, and they weren't going to let me see him. He is so busy, he can't see you. He will see me.
Right.
He will.
They just didn't understand how bad this was.
And it was so, I mean, he was so wonderful. This is how wonderful that guy was. He was such a great guy. So they finally relented. They didn't call the police. They let me go see the doctor. And he took one look at you, and he, he said, okay, listen to your heart. I mean, he did all the stupid doctor stuff.
Was this before or after you found me limp in my crib?
No, you weren't in your crib.
Oh.
No, this is
I thought you said you
long
found me
after.
limp.
Well, yeah. I mean, but no, this was you weren't in your crib anymore.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah.
So when I was first sick is when you found me limp in the crib.
Sure, yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
I remember you saying that you found me limp in my crib.
Yeah, early on, and that's when I took you
Okay.
to the doctor the first time. Maybe even the second time. Yeah, second time. I think that was when you were, and then that night that I took you the second time, I kept you by my bed in your little infant seat because I just needed to have you there. Of course, again, pretending like I was going to be able to sleep. That didn't happen. And then, like I said, very, very, very next morning. I mean, I had just had you the day before to the doctor, and then I took you right back the next day and insisted, because I knew Dr. Nielsen was back that day because they had told me, and he was like totally booked, but I didn't care.
The battery died.
Back to what we were saying.
Yeah.
Barged in. They were not going to let me see him. They were just, oh man, those nurses were kind of bitches. Like I said, he was so gracious. I mean, he, like I said, took one look at you, and he, like I said, he did the doctor stuff. He listened to your heart, he listened to your lungs, all that crap. And then he put me back in your arms, and he said, we need to run a few extra tests. Unfortunately, we do not have those capabilities here at this clinic. So I need for you to meet me at the hospital.
He was a liar.
Oh, he was a liar, yeah. So he said, I'll be along. I want you to just go over there right now. Take Brittany over there, and I'll call ahead. They'll know what to do. And I'll probably be along in a half hour. Now, it was like, I don't know, probably middle of the afternoon. I mean, there's no way that he was going to be leaving the practice at this point. I mean,
he was just trying to keep you calm.
Of other people sitting out in the waiting room waiting to see him, and they all thought I was nuts. So I thought, oh, okay. It calmed me so much. I just thought, oh, thank God, somebody finally believes that my child is sick. They're going to run these tests. This is so good. They're going to figure it out. My daughter's going to get better. And so I went over to the hospital, which was down the street, pretty much down the street from the clinic. It was pretty much right there.
I mean, what would your mind have been if he had been honest with you about how severe this was? Because, spoiler alert, I almost died.
I don't know. don't know. I don't know. I think back, and I think that I probably would have panicked. He would have had to have called an ambulance. I wouldn't have been able to move. I don't think I would have been able to function.
Well, because I thought they were coming upstairs.
So I think, when they did that, he kept me calm, and I don't even know why he didn't call an ambulance. I think looking back, that probably wasn't the best of solutions either.
But it was just down the road, so
but
it wasn't
was just down the road.
Yeah, there was no reason to spend $3,000 on an ambulance.
Right, or to wait.
Right.
I think that was more the thing, because he must have known, that maybe there wasn't anything available. But I got to the hospital with you, and I had called, or I got to the hospital, I think, and then I had the time to call your dad. I used a payphone and called your dad.
That's how old I am.
I know.
Of course, I'm also old enough to remember calling 1-800-COLLECT instead of saying your name, saying I'm ready to be picked up.
Yeah.
And you wait for them to just not accept the charges and then hang up. Stealing.
Yeah, that's terrible. We told you.
Shouldn't have done that, but...
No, that was a terrible thing. But anyway, so he arrived, like he said, minutes after we did. And I was all smiles and, I'm so happy because you're doing these tests. And he snatched you from me and you were gone. And there I stood. I'm going, what the hell just happened? I don't understand what just happened. I'm running down the hall.
That's my phone. Hi, this is Britt. I didn't choose Hilton hotels, though. Last time, I don't think I've stayed in a Hilton since, the 90s. I think the last time no, that's not, no, because even the DoubleTree, which is a Hilton, I never stayed in the DoubleTree. I always commuted from here to Detour.
But anyway, like I said, I was chasing him down the hallway. What's going on? Excuse me, what's going on? They got you into this room in the emergency area, and they couldn't find a vein. They were crowded around this crib. They had you in this crib. I don't even know why they put you in the crib, because the side was completely off. And they were trying to find you a vein, and they pushed me away. They kept me away, and I'm going, what? Oh my God, I was so mad. I said, you let me in with my baby. And I pushed my way back in. I was really a fruitcake at that point. I had no idea.
Any mother would be. Any mother would be who doesn't know what's going on.
Like I said, I was kind of, in retrospect, he should have explained things, and he did not. He didn't explain them until much later, and that is
there are pros and cons to that.
I think had he explained it, he would have had to have said, "Your child is dying."
Right.
And he didn't want to say that to me
until you needed to know whether or not I was going to make it.
And it was touch and go for a very long time. By the time he even explained it to me, it was still touch and go. You were on the better side of things at that point, because they were able to find a vein and they were able to put some liquids into you. But I think you had lost something like 4 pounds. And at a year and a half,
that's a lot.
That was almost like 30 or 40% of your body weight.
Well, it was like when we went to the vet with Corvette, when we put her down. She was at 8 pounds the last time I was at the vet with her, and when we brought her in the day we put her down, she was 4 pounds. Yeah. Same kind of concept. Right. Well, that was half her body weight, but still.
Right, and yours wasn't that much. I'm thinking 20 or 30%. I'm thinking that's what we had to settle on. That was about 20 to 30% of your body, which is ridiculous.
It's a lot of weight to lose in such a short amount of time.
Ridiculous. Yeah, over 3 days, 4 days.
Right.
4 days.
Right.
And that was insane, and which is what Nielsen knew. He knew you because that was your doctor, and so when he saw you, he could see, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
But I had seen
What is this?
Well, seriously, because I had been seeing it.
She brought an alien this time.
Yeah, really. This is a stick person.
What is this?
This is a stick person. Well, you weren't a very big baby at that point anyway, but
I was really petite until we took me off of dairy.
Yeah. The world opened up.
And then all of a sudden, because I wasn't sick anymore, and so I was able to actually be a healthy weight. Because you look at pictures of me when I was really young.
Yeah, you were very, very skinny.
I was very, very skinny.
Yeah, little kid. But like I said, that whole period was horrific. And that day when he did tell me that you were very, very critical, that you were critical.
Right.
Yeah, that was the word he used, you were critical. And I
Rude.
do know that he was very cautious how he told me that, because I think, back then it wasn't rampant yet, but suing doctors for, malpractice and things was only starting to take
Well,
hold.
with how little they took you seriously.
I never thought. I was angry about that. I was very angry about that, but I wasn't going to do anything about that. I mean,
Right.
not that even if we knew we could have, I wasn't going to do anything. I just was so thankful that they caught it in time, because they did. They caught it in time. You spent a good week and a half in the hospital. And back then, again, that's not a huge deal.
Right.
Today, that's a huge deal, because that's the last place you want to be, is in the hospital.
It's too expensive these days.
Well, not only that, but that's where all the sick people are.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to be catching all them germs. That's horrible.
Right. Well, I mean, I probably was in a children's unit, I'm assuming.
You were in a children's unit, and I remember going through.
Because, I remember when Gwen had her baby, and she was at Children's, the actual hospital Children's, and I went to go see her. I had to basically take a shower before I could go into the into the ICU.
In this case, no, we were in ICU. We were for, I think, the whole time period. I think they released you from ICU, but it was a private room too, which was so strange. It was huge room that they gave us, and I stayed. I never left.
That's fun.
Yep. Anyway, so there we go.
Huh.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anymore?
I don't know. Maybe Dad wants to add to our story.
No.
Dad can get some alcohol too and join our story.
Yeah.
But, so, okay, one thing, because I still have long-term effects. Like I told you the other day about this, because we just talked about this actually the other day. I still have long-term effects from that, because one of the things that...
I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's never been something that I've ever needed to tell you, because I have extreme anxiety when doctors need to pull blood. And the reason why, and this is why I've donated blood now, but it's why I have anxiety about the idea of donating blood. It's not because of the needles. The needles aren't what scares me. It's because they have trouble finding veins. And so, they'll poke me, and then they'll move the needle around and just try and find a vein. And then sometimes they'll give up on this arm, and they'll go to this arm. I mean, I still have long-term effects. And actually, somebody asked me, one of the nurse practitioners actually asked me one time, were you severely dehydrated when you were little? And I was like, is that on my chart? And she goes, no, it's not your chart, but it's very common when you're dehydrated when you're very little, that your veins, like you said, callus up a little bit. Because you can see my veins just fine, so they're there, which is what confuses a lot of people when they are trying. It's obviously in my chart now, because now they had to put it in my chart, because they're like, we wish you would have said something a million years ago, because it would have been in your chart, because now people know that it's harder to get to my veins than it would be. But she said it's actually a very common occurrence. I don't know if that's true, but it was told to me once by a nurse practitioner. But I thought that was really interesting.
But it doesn't matter. I mean,
it's fine. They eventually find a vein.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes they'll go as far as to go, okay, I see a vein literally right there. Let's just right into that one. Because sometimes it's just that difficult to get to my veins or find a vein. And apparently that's just a long-term effect that I've had from that.
Wow. And I don't know. I mean, I don't think you were all that sick. Once we found out you're lactose intolerant, I think, you kind of took...
Which depressed me as a child, because I never got to pick my seat at daycare.
Oh.
We had this game called, it was a spoon game. So most of the spoons were your regular spoons with the pointy end. But there were 2 soup spoons at daycare. There were 2 soup spoons. And the game was, and it wasn't like the game that the daycare owner had. It was a game that we invented as the kids. That you don't win anything. You never won anything, but you won, and that was enough if you got to have the soup spoons. But I never got to choose my seat because the milk was already poured, and so they always gave me apple juice, and so I always had to, because it just made better sense for them to pre-pour everything instead of pour while we were all sitting there, because there were 30 of us, and
yeah, that would have been so hard.
But yeah, and so I never got to choose my seat. And so when Tina, the owner of the daycare, found out that was what was going on, and I was like depressing me, like it was affecting my mental health, she would every once in a while give me the soup spoon, like purposely give me the soup spoon. And so sometimes I sit down and I'd see it there, I'd be like, oh! And there was one time a kid saw it and sat down in my seat, like, but that's my seat because it's got the apple juice. So, well, you can move your apple juice, and it was probably lazy.
Think so. Oh, it's probably a friend.
Well,
yeah.
Lacey and I were frenemies, like even at 4, Lacey and I were
so sad.
frenemies. But I remember there's this home video that we have of the day that I left for kindergarten because I was in the PM class. So you guys came to Tina's to record me waiting for the bus and to get on the bus to go to my first day of kindergarten. Then you guys followed the bus.
We recorded you.
Because I'm old enough that it's like a big shoulder camera that you put a full-on VHS into. And like I remember, because she was in the AM class, she got off the bus.
You may have to explain VHS to your viewers.
They're not that young.
Oh, okay. Not that many. I'm just kidding. Keep going. Come on.
It's funny because it's true.
Tens of tens.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what my views are right now, thanks to the drama that I was in 2011. So thanks for bringing that up, Mom. I'm out of wine.
Oh.
God damn it. That's traumatizing enough. But yeah, but I remember seeing the video of me going, "Hey, Lace," because I wanted her to like me, because she was such a cool kid, and I wanted her to like me. And I remember that from the home video, and I don't remember why I remember that. And I also remember me freaking out at my rude. I remember me freaking out at my table in Mrs. Good's class. Like I was just like, all of a sudden I was like full on like head banging. I don't know what, but I remember that from the home video too. I was a very high-strung child. Was I a high-strung child?
I guess I don't remember you being high-strung.
I seemed high-strung.
I mean, maybe that we were just used to it or something. It's like...
I was very Graham. I was very much like Graham, my nephew.
Oh, I don't know. Boy, I don't even know. That's tough. Because Graham is tough.
Well, what I remember from my childhood... Also, okay, I've been wanting to ask you this question. So when we moved out of Madison, we were planning on moving out of Madison. Did you tell us that we were moving? Because I remember, my memory of moving out of Madison was I was walking down into the basement, which is where all my toys were, because you had the daycare, and so you had the playroom down in the basement. That's where pretty much all of my toys were. Was down there. Yep. And I remember going down there and stopping at, so the stairs went like this and then like this, and then there was like this little peephole where you could see into the downstairs living room, which is where the playroom was. And I remember you guys packing up my toys, and that was like traumatizing for me.
I know, we must have said, maybe we didn't. I mean, you guys were pretty young, so maybe we didn't like explain it.
Or maybe I didn't understand what moving meant.
Yeah, that was probably it. We didn't understand, you didn't get that.
But it was traumatizing. Like you guys packing up my toys was like, I don't know why, but for some reason that stuck in my brain as just this traumatizing moment in my life.
Yeah, I think at that point too, we were pretty traumatized as well for the reason we were moving.
Because Teresa
we were
was sick.
moving because your dad needed to do something different. He needed to get out of insurance.
Right.
And that's a whole nother story. And then, so we had purchased...
Maybe on his birthday I'll have him on my channel to talk about it.
We had purchased Kinsey Candles at that point. And
so you guys bought Kinsey Candles before we moved?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We were moving back so that I could take over Kinsey Candles, and your dad was going to continue in insurance, but in a different capacity. He wasn't going to be with MSI. He was going to be with another company. He had already pretty much decided on where he was going to be at that point. He ended up not going to that place because Kinsey Candles ended up being really
plus
busy enough for him to stay there, and it kind of made enough money at that point that we could stay there.
Well, plus according to him, it was going to be really difficult because he had to basically start over. Because he had quite the clientele in Madison.
He did. He was the district manager at that point and had his own book of business.
But he was going to have to like start cold calling again.
Yeah, and that was no problem for your dad. He didn't care about that so much. But
That's why I failed at real estate.
Because of the cold calling.
Because I hated it.
I needed him to help me. I mean, I didn't know nothing about business, so.
You know nothing about birth and no businesses.
I don't know nothing about birth and no businesses. And so he did stick around, and we did make that a successful business, but we were also moving because of Teresa being sick.
Right.
And she was dying, and
Well, Dad says that was his entire intention. That was why that's why he bought Kinsey. That's why he looking into it, was because he wanted you to be closer to family. That's what he told me.
Yeah, I had to be.
Directly told me. He goes,
I had to not only be close to Teresa, but to my mom and dad too.
Well, because
for you guys at my mom and dad when she passed away, because there was just nothing. They would have nothing.
He said that his dad's death was so traumatizing to him that he knew that you needed, because he hated being so far away from his mom when his dad died, which really freaks me out because I've done the math. Dad was my age.
Isn't that something?
When Grandpa died. He was 32. I mean, granted, I'm 33 when this video was up, but he was 32 because it was right after my 4th birthday. He was 28 when I was born. So 28, 29, 30, 31, 32.
Yeah, that's kind of mind-boggling when you think of it.
I think about that, and I think about, because I mean, a few years ago we could have lost my dad.
Yeah.
And.
Or me.
Or you. Yeah. I mean, luckily, your cancer was.
Yeah, curable.
Not just curable, but caught early enough, and your cancer was also, like, if you want to get breast cancer, get the kind of breast cancer my mom got. Like, if you can make the choice, though yours was traumatizing because you had so many surgeries.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, your dad, that was tough, because your dad shouldn't be here.
He shouldn't. That's a whole different story. Like, if I bring my dad on to tell any story about the reasons why we drink, that's definitely one that he should tell.
Yeah.
But I think that's still so traumatizing for him. He doesn't talk about that story. He's like, yeah, I had a heart attack.
He doesn't even know half the story. He doesn't know what you and I went through that
day.
That's
very true.
So many things. I just, oh my God, yeah, he should not be here.
He shouldn't be. I mean, it was a legitimate miracle. Making. Like, anybody who doesn't believe in miracles, like, I will tell you that was a legitimate miracle, because
several. In a row. I mean, it was just crazy. That was nuts. That was nuts. That was just crazy.
I mean, they missed our house. They couldn't get him stable in the ambulance. They brought him to a hospital in which
turned him away.
They had to turn him away because it was the 4th of July and they already had enough. They couldn't take a heart patient. They had to bring him to a different hospital. Like, I mean, it was a weird day.
Yeah, it was horrible. But anyway, yeah.
So. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much it, unless you have anything else.
Drink. Well, I'm sure I'll come up with a few.
If there's any other really weird stories.
Yeah, we'll have to do a sequel.
But yeah, I mean, I think that it's funny because, like, I've always been always been a ham. Like, because you guys bought that shoulder camera, and I think I played with it. I think I played with it more than you guys ever did.
Yeah, and we've certainly found some. You'll have to.
Oh my God, I know. I need to look through those.
Yeah, it'll be kind of fun.
I play with that video camera so much. And there's
VHSs. Anyway, you should. I mean, I don't know how you.
Yeah, well, I've done it. I've done it before. I just need a VHS player. I need a VCR, and then I have the actual connectors that I need to be able to connect it, because I did it with my karate video. Like, years ago, and that's why I bought it, was so that I could put my karate video up on YouTube, so that I never lost it.
We'll have to go through these.
Well, I did a news report. Like, I was a news reporter, and I made my own news show called Brittany's 2x2, because it was supposed to be like 2020. It was Brittany's 2x2, and I don't know why 2x2. I think his dad said it all the time because we were always in construction in that house.
Wow.
And it was like a 2x2 board. But anyway, yeah, so it was Brittany's 2x2. It's supposed to be a take on 2020. Yeah, so maybe if you guys ask me nice enough, maybe I'll cut some of those together and put those up.
That would be fun. I'd like to see them too. And we will, because over the last few weekends now, we've rediscovered those tapes.
Yeah.
But we're out of wine.
We're out of wine.
And it's time to probably go.
Yeah, and, so thanks for watching. If you guys want to hear more crazy stories about the reason why I drink, let me know in the comments below. We always have a part 2 if Mom comes up with any more fun stories, or maybe I can tell the stories from my perspective about the reasons why I drink because of her.
There isn't any.
Let me know in the comments below. If you guys want my dad to join me on my channel, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Say happy birthday and leave me a like because it's my birthday. Bitches.
Oofta.
Ouch. Oh my god. My foot's
I can't get up.
asleep. My foot's asleep. Oh, I can't step on it. My foot's asleep. Guys, we have a problem.